Well, Ray Hurd is a man who knows all about televised leaders' debates. In fact, he's helped organize them on both sides of the camera, both sides of the political divide. Joins me now from Toronto. Ray, good to chat with you again. It's been a little while.
Sure, good to be with you, and I think it's a good hot subject. I actually was the co-producer of the famous '84 debate, which Brian Mulroney killed my later boss, John Turner. But in '88, I was working with Turner and I was in charge of the debate. So I've produced a debate, the famous Turner-Mulroney one in '84, and I organized Turner in '88.
So let me ask you then, this idea that's being put forward by some of the media that this is somehow showing that, well, Stephen Harper's running from debates. His proposal is 5 debates, not 2.
Yeah.
I mean, currently it's 1 English, 1 French, all organized by the TV networks. He's saying, I'll do up to 5, but it's not going to be all run by this broadcast consortium. I don't see that as a bad thing.
No, I think it's a good thing. Don't forget, we live in an age, a digital new age, and I think there's also a need for a debate among websites, maybe even you guys. So in a digital age, the conventional broadcasters have become redundant. Young people don't watch conventional broadcasters. So there is a need, and the most debates there have ever been was in 2005-6. It spread over December, January. There were 4 then. So what Harper is proposing is the most debates ever. And in my judgment, the more debates we have, the better served the Canadian public will be.
Yeah, I imagine it would be 3 English, 2 French. Now, I'm just guessing. On the French side, TVA, which is owned by Quebecor, which owns Sun News, that you and I both used to work for. They've already said they're not interested in the consortium. They want to do their own thing. They've been doing their own style of debates without crosstalk between the leaders in Quebec for the last couple of elections. It's been very interesting. Maclean's has come out and said, we want to host a debate. So there are media outlets. I don't want to make it sound like all the media is against this, but some of the broadcasters are losing their collectivist little minds over this.
I was head of global and I was a member of what's called the consortium. And to be honest with you, Brian, the reason we did it, and in those days there were really only 3 English language services, CTV, Global, CBC. But we did it to promote our own talent. Now, what's happened, the type of debates that I was involved in, experienced, tough reporters asked hard questions. The idiots who run the networks now, the news divisions, for the last several years, they've gone out into the streets and they've taped phony interviews with average citizens, quote unquote, and those have been played back and those have been the questions. I think debates, a good debate, should have top reporters asking tough questions rather than taping the so-called person in the street.
I don't mind those as a bit of flavoring, but I think they're relied on too much now because sometimes the question the average Canadian is going to have is different than what you'd get inside the Ottawa bubble. But to your point, the reporters that cover this day in and day out know the files. Yes. And if someone is evading the question or giving false information, they might be able to call them on it. Now, I think you've got to walk the line between a moderator of a debate doing that and Candy Crowley in the 2012 presidential debates basically saying, no, Mitt Romney, you're wrong, when in fact she was wrong.
Yeah, but you have to have a moderator, and actually I'm the one who chose the moderator in the '84 debate. Guess who it was?
Who was that?
David Johnston, the present Governor General.
Okay.
So you have to have a moderator. David Johnston was by far the best. Fabulous, smart, and totally fair and totally unbiased. But today it's changed, and I see no one watches the CBC. When you look at the ratings, the really important players here are in the French language, Quebecor, TVA, and in English, it's CTV. CTV Toronto some nights has more viewers than Peter Mansbridge of CBC has coast to coast.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think that's every night, Ray. But
yeah.
so,
So,
what would you do with the debates going forward? I mean, are we going to, in the United States, we've seen, the League of Women Voters organizes one of the
yeah.
debates. Are we going to have groups like that, or do you think it'll still be media driven? Because at the end of the day, if there isn't a media component to it, then no one's going to see it.
Well, basically, the question is who delivers the message to the most Canadians? And I think that what the Tories are doing now is okay, and the NDP is prepared to go along with it. Justin, as usual, is indecisive. No one knows where he stands. I think Justin would be forced to come on any other debates that the other two bigger parties agree to attend. But you must remember the politics of this one. The basic issue is Harper and Mulcair are great debaters. Justin Trudeau cocks up verbally every time he's not reading from a script. So,
benefiting, he just said it in question period on Tuesday, benefiting every Canadian family isn't fair.
Yeah. So that's the problem. So Justin's guys, and he has the worst staff of any leader since Benito Mussolini in World War II. He has this terrible staff, and these guys are literally digging a grave for him and throwing him in. Now, the fewer debates Justin has, the better it is for him.
So
but
do you think
knows that?
Do you think that's part of the plan?
Mulcair. He's good.
Oh, he's very good in debating, but do you think that is part of the plan?
Yes.
Is to try and get more debates because it will showcase Justin Trudeau as being unprepared. Because look, I think he's been getting better, but the fact is he's still
in question period.
Well, no, exactly. So he still messes up in question period. Anyone can do that, but that was a significant mess up. But then there's other times, like his speech on Monday to it was the Canadian Club in Toronto. He sounded like such an over-rehearsed drama teacher. So he goes between the two. At times he can be very relaxed and very good at answering questions. He was the day that he announced his tax plan with the multi-billion-dollar hole in it. But then he messes up on question period, saying helping everyone isn't fair. And then at other times he's just over-rehearsed. Well, I think Mulcair and Harper are far more at ease in their skin. Elizabeth May, for the most part, remember, is irrelevant.
Brian, very important player. Elizabeth May, who has disgraced herself and her party by praising a terrorist and by using the F word against the cabinet, she was allowed on the 2008 debate, but in the last debate, 2011, they decided she couldn't be on. So they have to decide. She has, I think, 2 seats now. Is she going to be allowed on? That's one question. That has to be resolved. I don't think she should be. No party should be on unless they have maybe 10% of the vote. The other problem...
You know what you could do, Ray, is you just say, are you an official party in Parliament? Because there is a ranking.
Yes,
she doesn't hold enough seats to be recognized as an official party in Parliament.
So the other problem is, and I think we all made a mistake when we established this consortium way back then, they've allowed the bloc on English debates. Now, the bloc is not running for any seats outside Quebec, and I don't see why the bloc should be allowed on the English debate, because they do not contest seats in the rest of Canada outside of Quebec. So these are these big issues. The broadcast executives actually have only themselves to blame for not dealing with the issues. We were dealing with these issues in the early 1980s and the 70s, and they still haven't resolved them. And maybe we do need some sort of, I hate royal commissions and I hate task forces by governments.
Yeah.
But either have clear rules which get the highest possible audience, or have no rules at all and let the parties decide if they will debate and they won't. And if Justin's people create problems, so there are only 2 debates, which is what they want probably, so be it. Have a vacant chair for Justin Trudeau. But Justin Trudeau doesn't have the seats in Parliament to dictate anything. Mulcair is the leader of the opposition.
Don't tell
Mulcair's
that to the media, Ray. Don't tell that to the media. They still treat Justin as if he is.
Well, they all do, especially the Globe and Mail, more so than the Toronto Star. And also, they treat Elizabeth May like a hero too. There are 2 columns in the Star defending her. So the real issue is what helps Canadians most. I think the Tories are right here. I'm glad the NDP is going along with the Tories. 5 debates would be great. I think there could be even more than 5 debates. And the more debates, the better it's going to be for Harper and maybe Mulcair. And don't forget, Harper wants Mulcair to do well, to divide the center-left opposition. That should be his strategy. And the Alberta shock, where the NDP won big in Alberta, shows that anything can happen. And debates are part of the process. Debates can kill you. My boss, John Turner, got destroyed by Mulroney in 84 when he fudged the question about appointing Trudeau's buddies to the Senate.
It was the last knockout punch in a Canadian political debate. We haven't seen one since.
And there was a close one during the last debate. Leighton said to Ignatieff, because Ignatieff didn't attend Parliament much.
Right.
Ignatieff said, ordinary Canadians who don't show up for work don't get promoted. That was a good line. That helped Jack Layton win. And we must remember the importance of the French debates too. They are terribly important. And because the media cover them regardless. And I always said this, Brian, the important thing about a TV debate is what does the media say next day about who won and who lost? That's the real issue. What does the mainstream media, what did the tabloids say, the winner or the loser? And in 84, they were unanimous. Turner lost. In 88, on the free trade issue, they said Turner had won the debate, and the Liberals nearly won the 88 election until Bay Street in the last few days literally took out ads and bought the election. So this is a healthy debate. I am surprised that the CBC is being so protective of its presumed rights.
I'm not at all.
Good story, I'll tell you. When I went to the 84 debate meeting, the first one in Ottawa, I flew down. And when I got to the airport, there was a flunky from the CBC who said, "There's your limousine, Mr. Hurd." And I said, "I'm not getting in any goddamn limousine." And I got in the Anchor, Peter Truman's pickup truck. And when we got to the Chateau Laurier for this huge meeting, I said to everyone, my first words, Global is not paying for any champagne. They had champagne on the side, ordered by the CBC, and we're not paying for any limousines, which gives you one more example of how wasteful and extravagant the CBC really is.
It is a changing media world, as we're demonstrating right now. Ray, great talk. We'll keep following this story. Thank you.